So let's see the properties of Z transform in this session. We all are aware of the properties of Laplace transform, and we had seen that in network theory when we were looking at the Laplace transforms. But Laplace transforms were applicable for continuous time signals, that is x of t. But here the Z transforms are applicable for discrete time signals, that is x of n. So here is where the Laplace transform come into picture, and here is where the Z transforms come into picture. So let's see the properties one by one. Fine. The first property is linearity. First property is linearity. What does it say? If Z transform of x of n is x of z, okay, then Z transform of ax of n plus b, or let's say ax1 of n, bx2 of n is what? A, okay, x of z, x1 of z plus b x2 of z. This is what linearity is. So this we have done already. This type of problem we already have done. And why is that possible? Because this is linearity. We can keep I'm telling about you this. So if you have 2 into a power n u of n, what you'll do, you'll keep 2 out and you'll apply Z transforms only on this signal. Okay, that means we can keep the scalars out and apply Z transform on only the signals. That is what linearity allows us to do. Fine. So let's see the proof for this. Proof for linearity. Okay. Consider Z transform of ax of n plus b, sorry, x of n, no, it's x1 of n plus b x2 of n. Fine. So this happens to be this summation n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, ax1 of n plus bx2 of n, okay, into z to the power minus n. The equation for Laplace transform, sorry, Z transform. Okay, so I can write this as a summation n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, x1 of n z to the power minus n plus b summation n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, x2 of n z to the power minus n. Now see here, what is this? Because here, since x of z is summation n ranging from minus infinity to infinity, x of n z to the power minus n. And because if this is true, in place of x of n, we have this, right? That's why we have written it like this. And we have rearranged the term like this. So if x of z is this, what is this? Is what we need to look at. Okay, so therefore this is equal to a, this is Z transform of x1 of n, so that is x1 of z, plus b, this is Z transform of what? x2 of n. That's why it has to be written as x2 of z. So this is how we need to prove. Okay, so this is equal to your LHS. LHS we had considered, this is equal to your RHS. Understand, we started with the LHS. Okay, we started with the LHS. Okay, we ended up getting the RHS. That's why LHS is equal to RHS. This is quite simple stuff. Fine. So let's move on with the next property. Linearity is what we've seen now. So let's move on with time shifting. All the properties that we have seen there, okay, will be seen here. Time shifting properties seen in Laplace transform, I mean. Okay, so what is that here? If the Laplace Z, why I'm saying Laplace as well. If the Z transform of x of n is x of z, okay, then what is Z transform of n minus n naught? See, this is shifted version now. Shifted version of x of n. So it would be z to the power minus n naught x of z. Where we have seen this? We have seen this in the unit impulse function. What is that? Z transform of delta of n is what? 1. Z transform delta of n minus n naught is z to the power minus n naught. Okay, delta of n plus n naught z transform is z to the power plus n naught. So that is what is being shown here. So they are all shifted versions of delta function or impulse function. Okay, so that needs to be proved here. So that is by time shifting property. Okay, so let's see the proof for this. Proof for time shifting property. Okay, so LHS, that is the Z transform of x of n minus n naught. So this is one way of representing it. This is another way of representing it. Okay, so let's not get confused. Wherever the flower bracket comes, that means we are applying Z transform on this signal. Within the flower bracket, what we have, that is your signal. Understand? Now, according to the equation of Z transform, this can be written as summation n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n minus n naught into z to the power minus n. Okay, now let's substitute this n minus n naught as m and let's see what happens. Okay, substituting n minus n naught equal to m, which also implies that n is m plus n naught. Okay, so therefore LHS would be equal to summation. Fine, let's not write what goes from minus infinity to plus infinity. Let's just leave it as it is. Okay, so let's go on with this x of m z to the power, since n is there, it is minus m minus n naught. Okay, now see, if you have to write this in terms of z transform, see, it is x of m, the signal is x of m. Okay, if the signal is x of n, see here, if the signal is x of n, okay, then n goes from minus infinity to plus infinity, right? So if the signal is x of m, then m goes from minus infinity to plus infinity. Everybody understand that? Now there are two parts here, two parts of z. What is that? One is z to the power minus m and another one is z to the power minus n naught, right? So that's why what is not supposed to be there within the summation, okay, so that needs to be kept out. So see, since m is running from minus into plus into this function of n naught has got nothing to do there. Okay, only function of m would make sense within that summation. So that's why let's keep the z to the power minus n naught out and you'll be left with this x of m z to the power minus m, and this is the z transform of x of m. That's it. Therefore the z to the power minus n naught, okay, z transform of this. So this is what is your RHS. Okay, therefore LHS is equal to R. So this is how we prove. Okay, so this much is x of z. Understand that? So this is your second property, which is time shifting. Right now we shall see the scaling property, amplitude scale. It's not time scale. Okay, amplitude scaling. Amplitude scaling, the third property. Fine. What is it saying here? If the z transform of x of n is x of z, Okay, then Z transform of A bar n x of n. So this is what is the scaling that we're using. We are scaling it by an exponential. Understand that? We are scaling it by an exponential. So this should be x of z by a. This is how the things are. Fine. So see what we can do here. See what we can do. Now let's see the just proof of this. Okay, so let's consider the LHS. What is it? It is Z transform of A bar n x of n. Okay, this is considered. So what would this look like now? If you apply the Z transform, okay, with according to the equation of Z transform, this would be n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, A bar n x of n z to the power minus n. Fine. So this can be further written as n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity. Fine. X of n into, see this power of n we shall bring together. This a z inverse to the power n. Fine. So this can be further written as n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n a by z to the power n. Okay, so this can be written as x of, it's a by z or z by a? A by z, is it? Or it's a inverse. Okay, so z minus is here, right? Suppose I need minus n here. So what I need to be doing here, suppose I need minus n here because I need to bring it to this particular form. Fine. If this has to be minus n, then this needs to be rearranged in this form. Let me just write that again. Here, this can be written as A inverse Z to the power minus n. That's why here in this, okay, what you will have is Z by A to the power minus n. Fine, now it is in this form. See here, x of n, Z to the power minus n. So in place of Z, we have Z by A. That's why it is Z by A. Understand? In place of Z, we have Z by A, right? So in place of Z, we have to write Z, Z by A. Okay, that is what is the proof here. Fine. So we have to bring it to this format. That's why I have power of minus n. So if you take this, I'll just tell you that in more detail. So why this happens is here, why this is since x of z is what, summation n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n z to the power minus n. Okay, so if in place of z, if you have z by a, okay, what would this be? Suppose then n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, x of n you have. In place of z, I'll have z by a. Then what would this be? Your left hand side, it would be z transform x of z by. That is what is done here. Understand? So keep this as the reference. Fine. So keep this as the reference for understanding this. Okay, this is your RHS. Understand that? So this is the reference for this. I hope you understand that. Fine. So let's take the fourth property, that is time reversal. Time reversal. That is this. If you take the reflection of time is what they mean, reflected signal. The Z transform of this is X of Z. Then Z transform of X of minus N would be X of 1 by Z. In place of Z, you will have 1 by Z. If you have minus N in place of N is what is the meaning of this. Okay, so let's see the proof of for this. Proof LHS is X bar minus N. If you have Z transform of X of minus N. Fine. So what would this be? This would look like summation N ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity X of minus N Z to the power minus N. Okay. Substitute N equal to minus M. Okay. So therefore, LHS would look like summation M ranging from what? The one which goes from minus infinity to plus infinity would go from plus infinity to minus infinity. That's it. No problem. Okay. But here it would be X of M, and here it would be Z to the power M. Now I would like to write this in this fashion. Here, everybody. This I'll write as M equal to minus infinity to plus infinity. Again, I'll interchange X of M. Okay. So I'll write it as Z to the power minus 1 and minus M, because I need to the power minus N here. So I have to the power minus M. So if it has to be minus M, this has to be Z inverse. Fine. So this is M ranging from minus infinity to infinity. X of M 1 by Z to the power M minus M rather. Okay. Again, the same thing will apply here. Same thing will apply. Again, you can refer to this. Understand this? This is refer to this. Fine. So what is the thing that one needs to do here is this. If you have 1 by Z here, okay, it's as good as having 1 by Z here. Fine. So let me show you that. So if you have 1 by Z to the power minus N, then it is as good as having 1 by Z. Okay. Therefore, this is X of 1 by Z, and that is your RHS. Is this understood, everybody? Fine. Now let's go with another property, that is differentiation in time domain. Okay. So that is going to be the fifth property that we are seeing, that is differentiation in Z domain. So very similar property was there in Laplace transform also. Fine. So that is this. If Z transform of X of N is X of Z, then what? Z transform of nx of n would be given as minus z differentiation of x of z with respect to z. Okay, so this is what is called differentiation in z domain. This is time domain, discrete time domain. This is z domain, right? So we are, since this is differentiation in z domain, the property is called as differentiation in z domain. Understand? So with respect to z, so this we need to prove now. Fine. So in the proof, what shall we do? Consider, here we're not considering LHS, mind you. Okay, so let's consider x of z equal to summation n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n z to the power minus n. So this is the standard equation we have. Now you differentiate this because we need differentiation of x of z with respect to z, right? So let's differentiate to get this particular term. Let's differentiate this equation with respect to z. Okay, differentiate with respect to z. This implies that dx of z by dz would be equal to what? So minus infinity to plus infinity x of n. So this much has got nothing to do because we are differentiating z, right? So this is what is the differentiation. Fine. So it is z to the power minus n minus 1 into minus n. This is what is the differentiation of z to the power minus n is. Okay, so this would become what? N ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n z to the power minus n z to the power minus 1. Okay, and there is minus n here. Fine, what has got nothing to do here within the summation, that we shall keep out. So that is minus z inverse has got nothing to do, so that we have kept out. Fine, then within the summation let's have this. Fine, n x of n, fine, this into z to the power minus n. Understand that? So if you see this, what is this looking like? Is this not your z transform of n x of n? Yes or no? Yes or no? So this is the z transform of n x of n. Understand that? So you have z inverse here. Z inverse. Fine. So this is 1 by z. Fine. Then you have dx of z by dz. Fine. So this is your z transform of nx of n, right? So it is nx of n here. Okay, because this is the time domain signal. This is the time domain signal. Get that? So we can say there is a minus here. Did we miss the minus? Yeah, this is a minus here. Therefore, so this is z transform of, we should write. Let me write that properly. Everybody just see here. So this, that's something that I've shown here, is the z transform of nx of n, right? So let's write that like this. So this z and this z are different, mind you. Okay, so therefore z transform, therefore we can say Z transform of n x of n. That means this is minus z dx of z by dz. So this is how we can prove this differentiation in Z domain property. Is that okay with you, everybody? So let's see another property that is convolution in time domain is differentiation in convolution in time domain is multiplication in frequency domain. That is convolution property. Sixth one that we have to see is convolution property. So what does it say? It says that convolution in time domain is multiplication in Z domain. Is multiplication in Z domain. That is this. That is, if the Z transform of x of n is x of z, and Z transform of y of n is y of z, then the Z transform of x of n convolution y of n is actually the multiplication of the Z transforms of x of n and y of n. So this is what is the convolution property says. See here, this is convolution sum which we have seen. Convolution sum because this is discrete time. Otherwise, this is called as convolution integral. So the convolution sum in discrete time domain is actually multiplication in Z domain. So if you don't know how to do convolution sum, transform these into Z domains and take the product of that. Understand? So this is what is the meaning of this convolution property. Fine. So let's prove this. Let's prove. Okay. So we need to have the decent knowledge of the convolution sum here. So from that we can write this. We know that convolution of x of n and y of n, okay, is given as summation n ranging from, so it's not summation n, it's k ranging from, isn't it? Because it's convolution, k ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, x of k, y of n minus k, because it's y. Okay, so this implies that Z transform of x of n convolution y of n can be given as what? This. See here, Z transform of this is n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, x of n convolution y of n into z to the power minus n. Okay, so we will substitute this here in this place. So we'll have double summation to deal with. Fine, so this can be written as n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, summation k ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, x of k, y of n minus k. This is within this bracket into z to the power minus n. Understand? So this, the k's we shall bring out. Summation k and x of k we shall bring out. Okay. Minus infinity to plus infinity, x of k, let's keep it here. Fine. Then in the bracket, let's deal with this summation. Minus infinity plus infinity. Y of n minus k. Okay. Z to the power minus n. Now substitute n minus k as m. Substitute n minus k is equal to m, which implies that n is m plus k. So therefore, this is equal to summation k ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity x of k. Okay, and within the bracket we have this summation. Let's not write what it is. Let's write y of m. Okay, z to the power minus m minus k, because n is m plus k. Okay, now if it is x of k, k ranges from minus infinity to plus infinity, right? So here m should range from minus infinity to plus infinity. So let's bring this z to the power minus k. Since again there are two entities here. One is z to the power minus m and another one is z to the power minus k. Fine. So let's bring this z to the power minus k out. So how does it look like? It looks like k ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, x of k, z to the power minus k. This is one entity. Fine. You have another summation where m is running from minus infinity to plus infinity, y of m, z to the power minus m. Understand that? So what are these summations actually? What are these summations? Therefore, z transform of x of n convolution y of n is equal to, what is this? This is your z transform of x of k. So this is z transform of y of k. So you have x of z convolution y of x of z product y of z. So convolution in z domain has become the multiplication. Understand this point now? So this is what is the problem. Fine. Yeah. So after having seen all the properties, let's just again go through this fast. Okay. So linearity is something that we have seen. Fine. So wherein we can separate the scalars and apply that transform on the signals only. So that is why it comes to this form. Okay. So the transforms are applied on the signals, not on the scalars. Fine. So in time shifting, x of n is the signal, x of n minus n naught is the time shifted signal. Okay. If it is x of n minus n naught, what would be the z transform of this? The z transform of this would be here. The basic signal is x of n. So you have to write the z transform of that. And this needs to be accompanied by z to the power minus n naught, because there is a shift n minus n naught. Understand that? So we need to be little careful regarding that. Understand that? So this is what I'm telling you. See, this is the shift. Since this shift is minus n naught, okay, so this needs to be associated with the signal. Understand? So this is what is the time shift property. So this comes as an extra term because of the shift we have. Understand that? So that is proved. Okay, how did we prove? We consider the LHS of the second statement here. So that means this, we are applying Z transform on this. So this whole thing, this what you are seeing, okay, this is this only. So we are applying Z transform on x of n minus n naught. So since the Z transform of x of n is this, okay, Z transform of x of n is this, right? So the Z transform of x of n minus n naught would be this. Everybody understand that? So this is what we have. Now, what are they saying? This n minus n naught needs to be replaced by m. Okay, so if you replace this by m, this n would be m plus n naught. So that's why the equation becomes this. Since it is x of m here, now m will run from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, take this z to the power minus n naught out and see if you take this, this is what is going to remain. So what is this? What is this? This is z transform of x of n only. What is z transform of x of n? That is x of z. Understand that? So this is what you need to write. Let me just show you that. Here, this is z transform of x of m. Okay, so that would be equal to capital X of z. Whether it is x of m or x of n, okay, they are all same. So this is the z transform. Understand that? Now let's see the amplitude scaling. In amplitude scaling, what's happening? The amplitude of the signal. This is the signal, and this amplitude of the signal is scaled now. If you scale the amplitude of the signal, what would happen? So this should happen is what they are saying. If it is x of n, if it is x of n, let me just take that. Yeah. Here, if this is x of n, z transform is x of z. If it is a power n x of n, z transform is x of z by a. Whatever is the scaling you have done there, so that scale should come in the denominator here, z by a. Fine, so that proof we are seeing now. Fine, z transform of this can be written as this. Okay, so x of n, and since there are powers of n, so that powers of n can be written as this. Understand that? Why we need this? Because I need to have a equation like this. The x of n z to the power minus n. So I need an equation like this. So that is what I'm trying to do here. But in place of z, I have a inverse z. So a inverse z can be written as a by z. Now see here, if you have x of z, it is z to the power minus n. In place of z, if you have z by a, it is x of z by a. Understand that? See here, if you have, let me just show you. See everybody, if you have z to the power minus n, it is x of z. If you have z by a to the power minus n, it is x of z by a. Understand that? So that is why this equation is what? X of z by a. Everyone understand? So that is what they see. If you have a amplitude scaled version, okay, whatever scale you have, okay, so that needs to come in the denominator of this z transformed equation. Fine, that is what is the meaning of that. And time reversal. So here we are reversing the time. That means we are taking the reflection of x of n. X of n, if you have x of n, it is x of z. If you have x of the z transform of x of n is x of z. The z transform of x of minus n is x of 1 by z. Okay, so that is what we are trying to prove now. Okay, so in place of x of n, you have x of minus n. Okay, now minus n is replaced by minus m. So n is replaced by minus m means this x of minus n would become x of m, and this minus n would become m. Understand that? Now here, if it is n, n would run from minus infinity to plus infinity. N would run from plus infinity to minus infinity plus. But since it is x of m here, okay, so m would be running from minus infinity to plus infinity or plus infinity, whatever. Understand that? Okay, so that is what is happening. Now see here, since this is z, see this z to the power m can be written as this. So this is what is tricky about this. Z inverse to the power minus m is z to the power m. Okay, so we have to write it in this form. If you write it in this form, z inverse is 1 by z. Okay, again the same. If you have z to the power n, it is x of z. If you have 1 by z to the power minus n, it is x of 1 by z. So that is what is written here. So if you have x of minus n, then the z transform of that would be x of 1 by z. Fine. So this is time scale or not. This is time reversal property. Fine. Now differentiation in time domain. Okay. So if you have x of n, the z transform is x of z. If you multiply n, if you have n in time domain, then that is reflected as minus z differentiation of x of z. Since there is differentiation in time z domain, it is called as differentiation in z domain property. Understand that? So here we don't consider the LHS as we did for the other proofs. Here we don't consider the LHS, but we consider what is the equation for x of z. So this equation everybody knows. So this is the standard equation for Z transform. Right? So since we are differentiating, since we need d by dz of x of z, so we'll differentiate this whole equation with respect to z. So if you do that, okay, so this much is what here, this much is constant. This has got nothing to do because this is not function of z. So keep this away. Okay, so z to the power minus n is the function of n. So if you differentiate that, this is how it looks like. Fine. So this is the differentiation of z to the power minus n. Understand? So now just rearrange it the way you want. Fine. You have two powers of z here. Z to the power minus n is 1. Z to the power minus 1 is 1. Okay. Z to the power minus 1 along with this minus can be taken out. So you'll be left with this. What is this now? Anybody? What is this? This is z transform of what? This is z transform of what? Anybody? Here, if we have summation n running from minus infinity to plus infinity, x of n, z to the power minus n, this is z transform of x of n. So this is z transform of n into x of n. So that is what is written here. So it is this much is z transform of what? N x of n. So that's why it is written like this. So it is z transform of n x of n. So z transform of, see, this is the meaning of z transform of n x of n. Okay, so z transform of n x of n is given by, so this z along with this minus is taken on the other side, so it becomes minus z dz by dx of z by dz. Okay, they're all quite a simple proof. So if you do that yourself, you'll get to understand. Fine. Now I'm just revising this. So convolution property. So convolution is what? Convolution is this. Here, this is the convolution. So this is quite a difficult task to do because you have seen we have obtained convolution sum, we have obtained convolution integral. Understand that if it is continuous time, you obtain convolution integral. If it is discrete time signal, you obtain convolution sum. How difficult it gets in time domain. So that can be made simple in Z domain because this convolution becomes multiplication in Z domain. See, this is multiplication operator, dot operator. This is convolution operator. So this convolution operator is reduced to multiplication operator in Z domain. So that is what is being told. Understand? So let's consider this. Okay, and that is given by this. So this the convolution sum equation. Fine, LTI system module, we have seen that, right? So this is the convolution sum equation. Now apply the Z transform of this on this convolution sum equation. Fine. So this is how it is going to look like. In place of x of n, you have x of n convolution y of n because we are taking the Z transform of this. This is the input now. Fine. Now this is you write the convolution equation here. Fine. Take this summation k along with x of k out and bring this summation inside along with these. Fine. Replace n minus k by m. So n becomes m plus k. So this can be written as this. So there is z to the power minus m, z to the power minus k. Z to the power minus k can be associated with this summation, and z to the power minus m can be associated with this particular summation. Understand that? Since this n minus k is becoming y of m, the n which was running from minus infinity to plus infinity, here it would become m running from minus infinity to plus infinity because here it was x of n. That's why n is running from minus infinity to plus infinity. But that we replace by m here. So y of m we have. So if you have y of m, m should be running from minus infinity to plus infinity. So that adjustments you have made. So you have two products now with two summations. So this is what? This is x of z and this is y of z. See, it is reduced to multiplication. Understand that? So what can be called? See, the convolution sum or convolution operator in time domain is multiplication operator in or multiplication operation in z domain. Fine. So then we have initial value theorem. Okay. So this proof we have not seen. Let's see the proof of that. Okay. So it's quite simple proof. Let's see the proof of that, something that we have not seen. Okay. So let's do that and move on with another theorem. Okay, not very important from problem solving point of view, but if they ask, we may have to write this in the exam. Okay, so that's why I'm giving you. Fine, only from examination point of view, nothing much. Okay, as far as the problem solving is concerned. Fine. So proof. Let's consider x of z. So what is it saying first? See, if x of n is 0 for n less than 0, that means this initial value theorem is applicable only when you have causal sequence. Because for n less than 0, x of n is 0, that means it is non-zero from 0 to infinity. So that means it's a causal sequence. So initial value theorem is applicable only for causal sequence. Okay, so if your sequence is causal sequence, then if you apply limits n tending to 0 on x of n, it would give you x of 0. And this can also be obtained by applying limit z tending to infinity on x of z, is what is initial value theorem. Initial value of x of n is what? X of 0. And how to obtain that? In time domain, we can apply the limit n tending to 0 to get x of n as x of 0. So the same can be obtained by applying limit z tending to infinity in z domain. Understand that? So let's see the proof. Consider x of z equal to summation n equal to 0 to infinity x of n z to the power minus n. Why we consider 0 to infinity? Because, okay, so this is because x of n is 0 for n less than, so it's a causal sequence. That's why this. Understand that? So that's why we have considered it from 0 to infinity, since it's a causal sequence. Or we can write that here. We can rather write that like this. Let's take this off. Let's bring that here. Okay. Consider x of z equal to summation n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n into z to the power minus n. And we shall say, since x of n is causal sequence, this would happen. Understand? So this is the meaning. Fine. Now if you expand this, so therefore x of z can also be written as what? X of 0, because it starts from 0, into z to the power minus n. So this is z to the power 0, so that would become 1. So now x of 1 into z to the power minus 1 plus x of 2 into z to the power minus 2 plus it goes till infinity because it's 0 to infinity. Now, if you take limit applying or taking limit z tending to infinity on both sides, what would happen? Taking limits z tending to infinity on both sides, what is going to happen is this. Yeah. What is that? Limit z tending to infinity x of z would be equal to what now? See, if you since x this is x of 0 because there is no z in this, the first term. But in the second term, what's happening? If in the second term there is 1 by z, And in the denominator, if you have infinity, this would be 0. Okay, and in every term there is z in the denominator. So this is what is going to happen. So it is x of 0. Understand that? So this is what it is. And when do you get x of 0? This is when you apply n tending to 0 to x of n, or in other words, when you apply limit z tending to infinity to x of z. This is initial value theorem. Understand that? So final value theorem is this. So initial value theorem is applicable when the sequence that we consider is causal, otherwise it's not applicable. Similarly, this final value theorem is applicable only if x of z has no poles outside the unit circle. What do they mean? What is unit circle? Everybody should understand. Okay, we have z plane, right? Okay, so this is z plane. If you have z plane, this is imaginary z, the y axis. Okay, sorry, here should come your magnitude, and this is real z, your x axis. Fine. So let's draw a circle here in the z plane, and let's say this circle is of radius 1. Fine. So if there are no poles outside unit circle, this is the unit circle. This is what is the unit circle they mean. If there are no poles outside the unit circle, okay, and no higher order poles on the unit. No higher order poles means what? Okay, so we can say there is a pole of there's a pole at z equal to 1, but there should not be multiple poles at z equal to 1. Okay, if there are multiple poles at z equal to 1, no, final value theorem is not applicable. And if there are poles outside the unit circle, then also the final value theorem is not applicable. So when is final value theorem applicable? When there are no poles outside and when there are no multiple poles on the unit circle, then this is applicable. What does it say? See, earlier here we applied n tending to infinity in x of n. Okay, that is initial value. Here limit is limit n tending to infinity because it is final value. So that is x of infinity. Initial value theorem is applying limit n tending to 0 to x of n. So we get x of 0, right? But here we apply limit n tending to infinity to x of n to get x of infinity. And that in z domain is obtained like this. Limit, so this is obtained by applying limit z tending to 1. We don't apply limit z tending to 0 as we did in initial values. Here this is equal to limit z tending to 0, sorry, z tending to infinity, right? Yeah, z tending to infinity x of z we did, but here we apply the limit z tending to 1, and when we do that, this is what we'll get. So this is your final value theorem. Let's not go into the proof of this final value theorem because it's very tedious proof, not very straightforward. Okay, and not very important from examination point of view, but I don't know anyways, I'll give you the solution of that, or if you can look into some textbook. Okay, so to prepare for the worst case, but if I take that, that will not make much sense here because it's very lengthy also and very confusing also. So I thought we shall not take that in the class. Fine. So that this is final value theorem. Just remember, we don't have any problems also on this as far as the prescribed textbook is concerned. Okay. So let's not go in detail of this. Fine. We have seen all the other proofs. Fine. So 7 different properties are there. We have seen proofs for all that. Okay. But for this, we shall just ignore. Fine. So now we shall go to solve problems using the properties. Till now we have seen, so how to find out x of z. See, x of z can be found out by using this formula. X of z equal to, okay, summation n ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n z to the power minus. This is one way of finding x of z. And we can even find out x of z by referring to the standard formats, standard sequences, something that we have seen in the previous class. Now what we'll doing, Now what we'll do is, by using the properties of Z transform, using the properties of Z transform also we can do. So there are three ways. One is by using the formula. Other one is by referring to the standard transforms. The third one that now we are seeing is by using the properties of Z transform. So that needs to be looked at now. Fine. So take down the heading as this. Find the Z transform of following sequences using properties of Z transform. Okay, so first, before going to the problems directly, let's list the properties. Okay, so list of properties, let's see first. List of properties, because this is important. Without remembering the properties, we cannot solve this problem. Okay, and we cannot derive and then do the problem. Understand that? So Z transform of A x1 of n plus B x2 of n is what? Anybody? Is A into what? X1 of Z plus B into x2 of Z. So this is linearity. Understand that? The second property is what? Z transform of x of n minus n naught, the time shift property. So the time shift property is what? This is the shift. Okay, and x of z is the Z transform of the basic signal. What is the basic signal here? Which signal is being shifted? X of n is being shifted. So what is the Z transform of x of n? Z transform of x of n is x of z, and this is accompanied by z to the power minus n, because x of n is shifted by minus n naught. Understand that? Similarly, if you have x of n plus n naught, okay, by time shift property, it is equal to z to the power plus n naught into x of z. That's it. So this is time shift property that we saw. I'm just listing them again. Fine. So what is Z transform of amplitude scaled signal A power n x of n? So if you have a signal like this, then the Z transform would be this. Z transform of that would be this. In place of Z, you will have Z by A. That is amplitude shift. Suppose you have a time reversed signal, then in the Z transform, in place of Z, you will have 1 by Z. Okay, then the fifth property that we saw was what? What did we see? The fifth one is Z transform on the convolution x of n convolution y of n. So what it would be? It would become multiplication in Z domain. Understand? And we have what? Z transform of n x of n. So this is differentiation in Z domain property. What is it? It is minus z d by dz of x of z. So this is what is differentiation property. So we shall make use of these properties to solve problem. I have not taken what? The final value and initial value theorems as we did here. Okay, 7th and 8th we have not taken, because anyways we'll not be referring to those. Okay, if we come to we'll have, if we have problems on that, we shall see, but not as of now. Okay, so now the heading is this. Okay, so the heading is find the Z transform of the following sequences using the Z transform properties. What we have done till now is we've just listed the properties, mind you. We have just listed the properties. Okay, so we shall refer to these list when we are solving the problem. Understand that? So this is your reference. So let's take the signals now. So problem number one is the sequence x of n is u of n plus 2. Okay, now which operation is performed here? Can anybody tell me? Which operation is performed? Time scale, time shift, amplitude scale, time reversal. Which operation is performed on this? Anybody? Respond, please.
Time shift.
Time shift. Very good. The time shift is happening. What is the basic signal here on which we are performing time shift? Which is the signal we are performing time shift on?
U of n.
U of n is the basic signal. Good. So here, see here, when we saw the shift property, see, we were considering x of n plus n naught or x of n minus n naught. So here we have to consider u of n plus 2. So that means basic signal we should understand. Okay. Basic signal is u of n, unit step function. Okay. We know that the Z transform of u of n. Anybody? What is this? Referring to the standard transforms. Can you tell me what is Z transform of u of n? Z transform of a power n u of n is Z transform of a power n u of n is z by z minus a. Okay, with ROC outside the circle with radius 1. Okay, u of n is what? U of n is as good as 1 to the power n u of n. That means in place of a, we have 1. That's it. Understand that? So in place of a, if you have 1, how does it look like? The Z transform of this. So that we need to remember. Okay, it is Z by Z minus 1. And what is ROC? What is ROC? ROC is outside the circle with radius 1. If you have A, it is outside the circle with radius A. It's A here. Okay, since it is 1, in place of A, we have 1. In place of A, we have 1 here. So in place of A, you will have 1. That's it. So this is by standard transforms we know. Now, if you have time shifted one, what you have to do? Okay, so therefore, the Z transform of u of n plus 2 would be what? Anybody? What would that be? So here we should say that by time shift property, by time shift property, we know that what we know, if you have x of n minus or plus n naught, so Z transform of this is given by z to the power plus n naught into x of z. Understand? So therefore, so what is this? This is x of z is Z transform of x of n, mind you. This x of z is Z transform of x of n. Okay. So therefore, u of n plus 2 has Z transform equal to what? Z to the power 2 x of z. In place of x of z, what you need to have? It is Z transform of u of n, mind you. Because the basic signal is u of n. So here we need to have Z transform of u of n. So what would that be? This would be Z square into Z by Z minus 1 with ROC will remain same. Z outside the circle with radius 1. Understand that? So therefore, Z transform of u of n plus 2, okay, is Z cube by Z minus 1, Z cube by Z minus 1 with ROC Z greater than 1. Understand that? This is how one needs to solve the problem. So this is little tricky. If you don't understand this, you need to just understand the flow of this. Otherwise, this is easy, but you need to understand the flow. Here, u of n, if we have, it is z by z minus 1. Understand? If you have u of n plus 2, what they are asking? For that, we need to know this. Okay, in this, we write z to the power n naught into x of z. What is this x of z? What is this x of z? This x of z is z transform of x of n. So here we need to have z transform of u of n. Understand that? So that is how we have solved this problem. So which property have we used? We've used time shift property. Understand that? So let's see the second problem under this. That is x of n equal to u of minus n. Okay. So give your attendance fast. We shall take this in the next session, immediately next session.